Jeff Hays, Mouthy Maven, otherwise known as Andrea, and I myself, and Justin Thomas James. We're going to be talking about voices, specifically deciding what voice to add to your characters in role playing games. Now, we aren't talking about role playing games like Dragon Age, unless you're talking about the tabletop RPG variety of Dragon Age games. Um, yeah, we're going to be talking about voice acting on around the table, um, which is um, I'm very glad to have two fantastic voice actors here with me, and I will introduce them right away. We have Jeff Hays, narrator
Hi.
and voice actor extraordinaire. He's been in the business for how many years now, Jeff?
Seven.
7
Yep.
years.
Indeed.
Yeah. And he's a big name. Actually, Andrea and Jeff are kind of a big deal in the lit RPG game lit genre, if I do say so myself.
Kinda.
What's that?
Kinda. Yeah.
Kind of a big deal, kind of. So Jeff and I have known each other for 2 years now, and yep, we're working together. We're producing audiobooks under the SoundBooth Theater label. And Jeff, could you just talk a little bit about your experience with voice acting and then with role-playing games in general?
Sure. Well, I guess I'll start with role-playing games since chronologically that's what I would have gotten involved in first. And I
Mm,
never was involved enough to have a real compelling story. It's just that it always had an imprint on me because the few times that I have tried getting into, tabletop role playing, it was always hard to keep a consistent group together, and it was really hard to decide on a rule set and everything back then because that was back in the day when there's no internet or anything where you can find other role playing games that might fit your desired play style better.
mm,
But from that, you know, being in a position where we're thinking about characters already, thinking about we're using our imagination to run the game. That always inspired me to get into acting whenever
mm.
I would um, jump into any kind of role playing environment. I mean, that's literally what it is. If you play it all the way, you know.
Yeah.
And I think voices in that context, that's kind of where I started playing with them when I actually would get to play in role playing games instead of just being a parrot,
Mm,
instead of what I would impulsively indulge in just day to day, hearing stuff on the radio, hearing the TV, mocking it, being a parrot of the
mm,
things that I'm hearing around me. There was role playing actually gave me a goal to achieve, with the character, and so I think that again, it's like just early exposure to that kind of use of your imagination. Um,
right.
but getting into voice acting, I started when I just um, didn't have any other prospects in front of me. I had just been laid off of my job, and I was trying to find something on the internet that I wasn't viewing at the time as a real job, right? Um, I was looking for something more creative, something that could stimulate my mind more because
Mm.
the job that I was laid off from, I was painting white walls white and doing plumbing and like,
Talk about inspiring.
yeah. The only escape from that environment that I had at the time while I was working was audiobooks,
Mm,
podcasts, stuff like that. And, even back then, I would listen to audiobooks and be like, I think I could do better than this, even though I wasn't even an actor. And so one day I just tried it. One day while I was just searching for ways to. Okay, we need background
it's
noise.
okay. I'm on the mute hammer.
Oh, okay. Boing, boing. All right, cool. So
It's only muting for you, Justin. People, it's not
Oh
server
no.
muting.
Oh,
Yeah,
Oh no.
it needs to be server
muting.
mutes.
I will do these
Yep.
things. There we
There we
go.
go.
Server muted.
There we go. Okay. So where was I? Oh yeah. So that being a person working a job that wasn't stimulating my mind, keeping my mind stimulated
Yeah.
by audio, that's part of what inspired me to say, hey, I think I can try this. So when I did,
Don't worry about me, and I just
Oh, hold on.
there we go.
Okay.
Being in that environment and experiencing audiobooks and stuff got me inspired to where I thought I can do this. And
Right.
ACX happens to be there. I got some good jobs outside of ACX first, and then when I found ACX and found I could get royalties out of it, I saw potential. Building up revenue, building up what's the word, residual income.
Right.
Was the way to do it, and doing my best to take any script that you put in front of me and make it an entertaining piece of media. That was the way that my mind was geared at the time.
Okay.
So that's how I've continued to go. Like no matter what scripts come our way, we do our best to like make them amazing. And sometimes we get incredibly lucky, and we keep those authors that do a great job all the time, and our quality keeps getting better and better because of that, because we go through that process, and we've dealt with every level of character.
And also, I'll add to your to what you've accomplished is, creating SoundBooth Theater has really been an interesting thing, and it's been pushing the envelope as far as audiobooks go in terms of how to treat, full books, and getting multiple actors, getting a recurring cast of actors that kind of mix around like an old-fashioned troupe. Has been really interesting to see the community growing around that, but then also to be a part of has been fantastic. And that's actually how I met Andrea. You were the link that connected myself and Andrea, this fantastic human being, this incredibly talented, lovely, beautiful narrator. Andrea,
I'm already here,
please.
Justin. You don't have to keep pouring it on.
Oh, okay. All right. Just tell us who you are and what do you want. Get out.
Hey, everybody. I'm Andrea. Last name Parseneau. No, I'm kidding. I'm Andie. I'm a voice actor and Discord streamer. I say that is like my second title now because
Yes.
I spend so much time in Discord. But I work in lit RPG and game lit and harem, primarily for voice acting. And I just really I really enjoy the freedom that those genres give us. But creating characters was one of the biggest parts of why I wanted to do narration and stuff, because it was a really unique take on books. I heard Jeff do Other Life Dreams, and when I heard that, I was like, hey, people do funny voices and stuff. Like people do like actual characters. Like up to that point, I'd really just heard a lot of audiobooks that were kind of like reader narration, like narration. They variations and slight variations in pitch and cadence, and that was it for character differentiation. And when I heard Jeff do Other Life, I was like, wait, somebody's actually like, this is like listening to an animation. Like, this is like, there's multiple characters and they're distinct and well thought out. This is actually really cool. I want more of this. And so I started listening to that. And that opened a whole new world into audiobooks for me. And there's a long like train into how I got into audiobooks, but that's not what everyone's here for.
Right.
So I'm just happy to be here, and I'm happy to be doing what I'm doing.
Well, thank you for joining. And I think that's, I hadn't even thought of that, but that's another really great point, which ties in really well to our love for role-playing games, is that, SoundBooth Theater, again, adding color, Jeff's way of narrating really adds color to the characters. It's like an anime. It's like, these larger than life characters that are, voiced as such.
Oh, that's I forgot to mention. tabletop history.
And that's what I was just going to lead into. So tell us, Andrea, what is your connection
Sorry
to
about
role-playing
that.
games?
Sorry about that. I was really into Jeff's story and I totally forgot what I was supposed to say. Yeah, no, I was a latecomer to tabletop RPGs. My husband actually introduced me to them. I didn't have a dislike for them. I just hadn't been exposed to them at all. Like I just was never around anybody who'd ever played Dungeons and Dragons or anything else. And for a long time, it was basically like White Wolf and Dungeons and Dragons, maybe Rifts if you were super deep cut. Like there wasn't really that much going around. And so I was introduced to it through my husband. And when we met, I was like 19 and he showed me this whole new world of tabletop games. Like the world wasn't Monopoly and Sorry, you know?
Right.
And I was like, holy crap, this is what exists. I get to play people. I get to tell a story. I get to do characters. This is amazing. And so yeah, since then, several games, DM'd some, like we played Rift. We're just starting a Fate game, Pathfinder, Dungeons and Dragons,
Wow,
Werewolf,
that's a lot.
Vampire, yada yada yada. There's a bunch of different ones. My husband's a collector, so we play a lot of games for a session or two, like Cthulhu, that kind of stuff, and then we'll switch to a different one for a while.
The Invictus stream, I will say that a good portion of the Invictus stream discovered us through Call of Cthulhu. It's a great game, and our GM Harlan runs this fantastic campaign that is there's a lot of love for H.P. Lovecraft in the Invictus community. I'm curious, for a question for both of you. You're voice actors, you play RPGs. How do you really think about your character voices for RPGs these days, or is it more of a natural thing, or what's your connection to creating a character voice for an RPG, and what are your thoughts on it?
I'll let Jeff go first and then I'll answer.
I'll say it's kind of like going to any other medium of acting. It's like you got to look at your audience. Who's your audience? Who's around you? Feel the room and kind of play to what's comfortable in that feeling. Like if you or within reason of your character, of course. If you've decided to make a character who's like crazy and bombastic, well then, don't make that kind of character if you don't want to be uncomfortable.
Have you made a character that's crazy and bombastic, Jeff?
Yeah, and it's exhausting. And
Okay.
it's also like questionably improving the quality of the time of everybody else. Like the more insane your character is, the more potential you have to like
really animate it. But
like,
then like you get to like session 12 and everybody's
Yeah.
concerned about, killing the Lich, and you've got this bombastic character who, in order to stay in character, you have to, to maintaining that throughout.
Yeah.
But, it is still around a table as well. I'm wondering whether or not you guys have ever been in a situation where you've started off as a character being more crazy and then toned it down more.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you've done
That
that.
has to be the tendency. Again, there's a lot of
Yeah.
energy that goes into having a bombastic character. And sometimes you just don't feel like doing that. So
Or you just start seeding further and further into the character and realize that the more you find out and the more you flesh out and the more you get to know your own character, they're not as bombastic, they're not as crazy as you thought they were. Maybe they have a darker past and the bombasticness is a show, and they drop it when they're serious. And I think it's an element of the character to play with, just like anything else. It's something to grow and show from, and I think that's interesting.
So how do you go about choosing a voice for your character? What is your method, I guess? Do you come up with the character first, or do you think, let's go from another angle. So tell me about a character that you've made that you loved the voice, that maybe was a little bit different than what would just be normal Andrea or Jeff speaking voice?
No one uses my speaking voice for the most part.
Okay.
Like, no one does. They may not, they end up getting toned down as the game goes by because it's a challenge to hold an accent for an extremely long time when you're in a game with other people. So it's what may start out as a really strong Scottish brogue ends up turning more contemporary Scottish. It starts dropping a few of like the super rolled R's and stuff like that, but it'll still be there. But I think that's probably my cleric that I played. I played a healbot cleric.
Okay.
And she had a really cool Scottish accent. Like she just had this really calm voice that was it was very musical, and I really enjoyed playing that character.
I'm
I had her
imagining.
voice before I had her. So
Oh,
that's-
okay. All right. So the voice came first.
yeah, frequently that's how I'll work it. I talk to myself a lot. So
Ah.
I make up characters in my head, and then I'll come up with things that like fit for that character if I want to play him in a game.
I'm picturing a Mrs. Doubtfire healbot.
No.
Is that accurate? No.
No, but that's hilarious. I had a character in a book recently that unintentionally became Mrs. Doubtfire, and I've just accepted it. But I'm sure Jeff has his own way of doing it. Sorry, I hate not having like the visual cue of seeing when someone's done talking, because I feel
It's
like
tricky.
either we sit in silence or Jeff and I are talking over each other. I'm sorry, Jeff. I'm trying not to.
Oh,
I
doing great.
can hear you though, so like that means we can still trade and know who you're talking.
I mean,
It's all
he's
right.
got
We'll
a
bump
point.
into each other a little bit more, but that's okay. Yeah, so I think really the only character that comes to mind is the last time I played D&D. I played a bard, a tiefling bard named Gimpy McScragglefucks, and
Of course.
I just kind of used my stereotypical Cockney thief voice for him, and I like that character because he can say cool things. He sounds cool when he's saying things, right? But he's also real laid back, low energy.
Right.
So it doesn't take I can do that character for a while.
You can maintain it.
I can maintain it. It can be mildly entertaining, and sometimes if I have a good idea, really entertaining, and it's just, and it kind of fits my character a little bit, my own personal character that I can just it's kind of like a caricature of me,
Mm-hmm.
and so I get to have fun with more extreme, stupid ideas that I have anyway,
Right.
that I would never act out, right? So I think creating a character that's sort of a reflection of what you would like to be doing in some fantasy world is probably the most honest way you can make a character and come up with a voice. Like think about the characters in fantasy film or literature or whatever that you admire the most, and think about portrayals of them and kind of draw inspiration from that.
Right.
Like I think a really great role to watch for inspiration for this particular type of character is like Jack Sparrow.
Okay.
In Pirates, like that, you watch some great performer take on an iconic character, an iconic persona, and that's you can learn little things from them and from imitating them and stuff.
Yeah, that's a great point, and I hadn't really thought of that just leading up to this panel, but choosing characters based on people.
Right.
And
Visualization, man. I mean, like
Yeah.
the one thing that I keep coming back to, that I keep realizing is core to being a voice actor, is visualization. Being able to transport yourself to whatever the scene is, transport yourself into who you are in the scene, and react to your environment, see your environment, and like look at those things in your mind, as if you were there. Like, and that's at the heart of role playing too, right? That's how you get a fun experience, is if you're immersed in that way.
Right. Which
I
kind of
think
goes. Oh, go ahead, Andie.
Sorry. You can
Please,
go ahead.
please.
Sorry, I was just expanding on that.
I already lost my train of thought. It's all good.
Your turn, Andie. Go.
I'll get it back.
I think that that's a really important component to what Jeff just said. The element of you have to be able to be willing to sound a little bit silly. You have to be willing to embody your character, actually be that character while you're playing, because so much of coming up with a voice is committing to it, actually going for it, believing that that character is authentic, and then just playing the game, because that's when you're going to come up with really great characters and really great experiences. It's when you let go and actually embrace that character and be them. If you can do that, if you can pick something you are comfortable enough with that you can embrace it fully, and it's going to keep you it's going to keep you engrossed, I think you will that's how you come up with a really great character, because
Right.
you want to grow it, you want to evolve it, you want to make it better. So you'll start plugging in things from your past, or things from, different feels and ideas. Do they have a lisp? Do they talk with their jaw funny because they broke it? Do they, little things like that that develop and kind of foster that character. It
Right.
makes it deeper and richer with everything you add to it. And I think if you can keep that and embody that, I think that's when you come up with really cool shit. Sorry, cool
I
stuff.
think a lot of that I think a lot of that confidence too, it'll depend on the table that you're playing with.
Hmm.
Like playing with Chris and Harlan and Joe, like these are people that I've known for years and are good family friends. And so it's very easy. Like if I want to try a new accent, it's very easy for me to just go for it. And I don't feel like I'm going to be ridiculed. I'm gonna feel like I'm going to be encouraged to do that, and maybe even bring out some of their enthusiasm and desire to push further into that role. But I'm just thinking that kind of thinking about a little exercise that you might be able to do with your table is doing a session where you do like a one shot or whatever. And this is one reason why one shots are great, is that you're not connected to the characters. Any decision you make for a character, it doesn't really matter because it's just for one episode. So you can come up with crazy, kooky, zany characters and just kind of feel what it's like to get out of your comfort zone and learn to go a little bit further, be a little bit zanier, and maybe you'll land somewhere like you think you're being crazy, but but everybody else is like, oh wow, like that was just an awesome Irish accent. And it just I wonder whether or not that's something that if you are, in a situation where your group is a little bit more reserved and quiet, but you want to be doing crazier voices, might be a good way to build some confidence.
I agree completely, because then there's no stakes.
Right.
You're not going to mess up something you're going to have to play every single week. It's
Exactly.
and you're
Exactly.
overcommitted to doing that Irish accent or that Scottish accent. You're going, well, now I've painted myself into a corner. I agree. I think
Yeah.
that's a safer way to do it. And it's a way to like dip people's toe in the water as a group together, so that you get all of the this side. Like, I think things can devolve occasionally if there's different levels of commitment, we'll put it that way. Like if some
Yeah.
people are more
Yeah.
committed to the idea of the characters than others, and it starts to cause dissension, so you
Sure.
flush that stuff out early, and I think that's where you get really cool stuff.
I think that Jeff talked about voices and visualization. He talked about imagining where you are in the scene, and we're kind of getting into techniques, things that you can do as a player specifically, and we're going to get into dungeon master, game master stuff in a bit. But this still applies. Techniques that you can use for your role-playing games, for your characters. Visualization is definitely one. I think that, and this is maybe another form of visualization, but I think that the main thing that I am working on as a voice actor is really getting into the emotion of the character.
Emotion.
The really trying to connect with how does it feel to be in the situation that the character is in. And in a perfect world, like I would like visualize and do the emotion. And I think I kind of do like I kind of switch between the two, and sometimes I'm doing both at the same time, but really leaning into the nuances of the situation. And again, it's easier to feel that emotion if you are really immersed in the player, if you're really listening to the dungeon master and connecting with the game.
Wait, I'm sorry. Was that a question?
No, it was just a statement. I'm kind of acting like a moderator slash panelist. I'm kind of just doing both. So I feel like I need to end everything in a question, but now I'm just like, just imagine that there are two Justins on the stage, and one of them sitting behind the table and answering questions, and the other one is nodding and smiling and laughing at everything that Justin one says.
One of them's wearing glasses, so we can tell them apart.
Probably the one
Definitely.
that's laughing and
Yeah, he's
probably.
wearing glasses.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool Justin who knows things doesn't wear glasses. He don't
Right.
need no glasses.
right.
Is that something that you ever like? Do you connect? How do you connect with the emotion of the characters, Jeff? Is that something you think about as well?
In role playing specifically, yeah. Let's see. I think so. Yeah, I mean, a lot depends on the DM as well, right? Like, if the DM's not into it, I can't role play against that. You know, like think about other instances of acting where if you're playing in a play or in a sketch or something, and the other players are not good, that's hard to play against, you know? And, you know, the better of an actor you are, of course, you can get over that. But most people who are role playing, it's just a thing that they do for fun. They're not like pros that do reps or whatever, you know? So, so yeah, having a good DM is going to help inspire your character for sure, because they're going to help you visualize. They're going to help you get into that immersion. That's what a good DM's for. And another reason why it's hard to find a good group, because the DM has to be both good at it and willing to do all that work.
Yeah.
I don't think a group is ever. I think it's really hard to make a group worse by committing hard to your character, though. I think you have a better chance of uplifting the other people and
for
getting
sure.
people into it more by just going ahead and going, you know what, I'm fine. I'm going to be the only one who's doing this. That's okay. And just going for it, because then somebody else may go, hey, what if my character has an accent? You know, and that'd be really cool. So I think it's a good idea to if you're comfortable with it, go ahead and try, because I think you can inspire other people at the same time.
Yeah, especially at tables where, you're at like a convention and, I think back to my experience with RPGs, and mostly it's with people that I know, and like I'm very lucky that way to have played with people who are, just as engaged as I am. But at conventions and, maybe tables that you're new to, I think that it, again, it takes confidence to be able to lead the charge, so to speak. Be the one to put yourself out there first and potentially inspire, the other players and the DM themselves to play more. Now, that's a good point, Justin, and I think it's time to move on. Jeff mentioned that this is glasses Justin talking. I wasn't just referring to myself in the third
We heard the
person.
glasses in your voice.
You heard it? Oh, good. I'm glad. So Jeff brought up a very good point, and it's time to bring it on to the next segment of the show. Jeff mentioned Dungeon Masters, DMs, and we've talked a lot about playing, but DM specifically. Okay, show of hands, who here in the audience is a DM? Who is dungeon mastering their games? Let's see it. Let's see. Show of hands. I. That's an I, not a hand. Jay, come on. Let's try again. There, we got it. We got Mike the bassist. Yes. Chris Lawrence. There's a hand from Jay. Kellen's. There's a hand as well. I don't read words. Oh, damn it, Gary. Gary Dose. We got Spock as well. Cullen just keeps putting up hands. You're a DM. Thundermoth's a DM. Wow. Okay. All right. So we got 5 or 6, and then I'm assuming the rest are players. DMs have a incredibly arduous, daunting job. But they wouldn't do it if they weren't super passionate and excited to come up with the game world, learn the rules well, put their players kind of in front of them in a way. Like, you're giving this opportunity to the players by taking on the role of DM. So we appreciate your sacrifice. Thank you, all of you.
Also, everything that goes wrong is your fault.
That's true too. That's true. That is also true. You have a great responsibility. And one of the tasks of, DM is obviously coming up with NPC voices. A lot of them. You got to come up with the king who's offering the quest, and the evil king's chamberlain who is evil and things. And then you got to come up with the captain of the guards who's going to let them in. And then you got to come up with all of these different people. And then you come up with all of them, and the players decide, screw that King's Quest bullshit. We're gonna go down to Red Larch in the middle of nowhere, and we're gonna, start our own tavern and not fight any monsters. And then you got to come up with all of the voices for these Red Larchians.
Red Larch a
Come up.
Canadian
Did you just
location?
name a city Red Larch, or is that a thing?
That's a thing.
It's a Canadian town, is that what?
It's a thing. It's a it's in I've been playing Dungeons and Dragons with the Invictus stream. We're producing a show called Dice Shame plug Dice Shame plug, and it's a podcast, and we passed by a town called Red Larch, and it's known for its red larches. Anyways, you have to come up with a whole.
What is a larch?
I still don't know. I still don't know.
I like it, whatever it is.
I think it's a three-legged bird.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I have some of those in my backyard.
Do you really?
Larches? Yeah.
Oh, you live by the power plant, don't you?
Yes.
You're by the nuclear plant, right?
Plant. Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
It's just a bunch of really happy lady birds.
Okay, if I can just bring order back to the question at hand. Yes. Okay. Jeff. Okay. It's a tree. It's a tree. Looks coniferous.
It's a tree.
That
Right.
is so much less entertaining than well-hung birds.
Well-hung trees. Yeah, it's better.
Okay, fair enough.
So yeah, I feel like there is some advice that applies directly to dungeon masters, ways that a dungeon master can enhance their game in order to, prepare better for the eventuality that the players are going to run into NPCs and really drive an interaction with the baker that there's no plans for the baker. The baker didn't kill the king. But they think he did, so now the baker's significant.
God damn it, Baker.
Yeah. So, is anything rattling in your brains about, ways that the DM can prepare in order to have a cast of voices at the ready for this eventuality?
Funny you say that, Justin. SoundBooth Theater is starting a new service where we send voice actors to you for your DMing campaign.
You can't see it, but I just smacked my cheeks at the same time.
No, I have no idea. Honestly, like, DMing to me seems like the hardest job to do. I mean, it seems like so fun, right? But man, I better get some paycheck for that. You know what I mean? Like, Jesus
or really
Christ,
love the people.
Yeah. I mean, I have to be very, very committed to do anything of the sort because I'm only gonna want to do it as amazingly as possible, and so it's just gonna be a huge time sink. Because
it's a lot of work. That's a lot of work.
I'm gonna feel like I ripped everybody off if I'm just like, oh, okay, this happened, this, we need some orcs, we need some goblins, we need I don't know, what's the boss
I would
of
love to
Mind
see
Flayer?
the
How's that?
preparation that
You know,
Jeff
like-
puts into this. He's got like the entire Sword Coast cast, every single person and creature and dungeon monster, including the Underdark, is cast and has a different, unique voice.
Yeah.
And as soon as the one player in like session 42 is like, hey, that mind flayer kind of sounded like that other mind flayer we ran into in episode 32.
Table flip.
He's done. That's it.
As when I've DM'd, I created if we're gonna be in a city, if we're gonna be in a specific area, I'll make a cheat sheet for that area or a cheat sheet for that city. So I'll figure out what if we're doing regional accents, then I'll give the city an accent. I'll say, okay, most of the people in this city are going to be accented in this way. And that could just be general American or surfer dude or Brooklyn or whatever. It doesn't matter.
I
Like,
would love
that'd be
a little,
amazing. A whole
little
city.
medieval town of all surfer dudes. Righteous.
Dude, like the axle broke on the cart, bro. It's not my fault.
Right. Oh,
Anyway.
yeah. Right.
But I'll
do you
make-
guys have any iron daggers for sale?
Like,
Dude, I need a gauntlet like mad, bro.
Like, totally.
Oh man.
yeah, like
How
I'll
much
make
is
a
that wheel of
cheat
cheese?
This is great. Let's just take a moment. Let's just take a moment and bask in the glory of what's this town called? We need a
Dragon
suggestion
demands a
from-
virgin once a month, and it's totally a fucking bummer, dude. Oh,
Whoa,
sorry.
man.
Sorry.
Where are we gonna get virgins around here, man?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I know she's not one.
Tubular.
She's
the
not
town.
one for sure.
There's no virgins in Tubular.
that's the next town
I
over,
love this
man.
town.
Tubular wood. Tubular Dale.
so
Welcome
so
to
you
Tubular
do
Dale.
you've got a list. You got a cheat sheet.
Yeah.
And that's okay. And I like that you do mention the surfer dudes, because
Yeah.
you're kind of you're suggesting that people don't need to run out and learn, legit
No,
Yorkshire
no.
accents.
No, you're in a fantasy world. You can make
Right.
up the accent. It doesn't have to be a perfect RP British or Irish or,
Mhm.
Romanian gypsy. You don't have to come up with something that's absolutely perfect because it's your world anyway. Just embrace it and be consistent with it, and people will buy it. And I think that if you create a citywide, like if you create a cheat sheet, like some basic rules for your city, and then when your characters run into somebody and that player or that character takes off and gets a mind of its own, or you give it a voice, try to visualize what that character is to you and make a note of it real quick. Like old Sean Connery or young Sean Connery or
Middle-aged Sean Connery or
angry
female
Christopher
Sean-
Walken. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Like come up with some sort of attribute for them that gives you a hint as to what they sound like. And then you know that your baker sounds like drunk Christopher Walken. Okay, cool. I can come
Right.
back to that.
Is that what you do for your audiobooks as well? Just as a sidebar?
Yes.
Oh, that's brilliant.
No, it all depends on the world.
Oh, okay.
Some worlds have regional accents. Some worlds have racial accents. It all depends on what's set up in the story.
Gotcha. Well,
Excuse me.
that's I really like that. It's just the it's consistency. What was the word? That's quotable gold. It's as long as you are consistent with the voices you come up with, it doesn't matter what it is, but as long as you're consistent, people will buy it.
Mhm.
And that's
Well,
something. Yeah, that's something
it
that
does matter what it is, but yeah.
does it. Does it really?
Yeah, I mean, it can't be. You can't be just super annoying all the time.
Sure, you can. I've played some great characters.
I think that's I think that's where the
NPCs.
difference comes in between a caricature and a caricature. If you make a bunch of caricatures, yeah, you're gonna piss everybody off. You're gonna get real annoying real fast. But if you
That's
make
true.
authentic characters that are believable, then I think it's safe.
I think
That
again it does depend on the game, because like if it's an entire campaign and they got to deal with this annoying character or caricature
Yeah.
the whole
I mean,
time, then
you have to you have to start from the character building in the first place and make sure that the character you're creating isn't going to necessitate that you be annoying all the time. So
right.
if you do it that way, then yeah, absolutely commit, be consistent.
Yeah.
For sure.
Is there ever a time? Is there ever a time for annoying characters?
I think
Levity.
it depends on what you consider annoying. Like that's the
Right.
issue. It's like what frustrates you? What does your group put up with? Is your group low tolerance for stuff? Do people like more
Right.
engaging stuff? It'll just get a read.
I think what is the function of annoying in any kind of
Mhm.
storytelling at all? It's comedy, right?
Yeah.
The only time you want to be annoyed is when it's funny. So
Right.
you have to consider that as well. Like, are you in a crowd? Are you in a group that appreciates comedy, appreciates laughing? You know.
Yeah, I
I
think
imagine
it's
that most of them
timing
will.
too.
I don't know what kind of D&D group you might start where people don't like funny things. That sounds like get a new group, but you know,
And I
depends.
think
You could be playing Vampire the Masquerade.
I think a big component of that too is adding read the room. Like if you if one of your party members is having like a really genuine moment with an NPC, or is going through something really important in the story, or there's some sort of really cool role play going on, I don't care that you are playing a crazy in riffs. Do not pick that time to be a jackwagon as a player. Like, let people have their moments. Don't piss on other people's role play. You can play your character, but don't play your character at the expense of everyone else's.
Right. Right. You got to pick your moments.
Yeah, pick your moments, because that's where I think it gets annoying, is when people don't know how to read the room and don't have timing, because it's like, dude, we were talking about dead babies. Like, I understand you think you're funny, but the rest of us are genuinely concerned. Like, calm down.
Right.
Like,
So this is, I'm glad we came to this, because this allows us to kind of circle back to what we were talking about at the beginning. Now that we've got more of a flushed out perspective of what it is that we're talking about, talking about accents for characters and stuff. How do you go about creating a character as a player, more so as a player than as a DM, but it applies for DMs who are creating recurring characters as well.
Jay in the chat. Oh my gosh, that was so on point, Jay. Holy crap.
I didn't even notice that.
So good. Oh, guy.
Hey, Justin, what are you doing over there? You know what? I'm just trying to moderate here. I don't, I'm not even listening to anything you guys are saying. I'm just moderating. Come on, Justin. Come on. What the hell, man? You're supposed to be paying attention to the words.
Okay. Excuse me.
We're talking about reading the room, Justin. Reading the room involves listening.
Okay.
Thanks, Jay. Thank you for pointing out my blunder. I'm glad we... there we go, humor. I can do humor. Going back to what we were talking about with characters, how do you go about making sure that your character that you're coming up with for a game, that maybe you're going to try a thick Sean Connery accent? How do you make sure that your character doesn't become a caricature? How do you avoid that?
Oh, how do you avoid becoming a caricature?
Exactly. How do you avoid creating a character that expands your range and your desire to experiment with crazy new voices, while at the same time not making yourself annoying?
worry about playing your character as they would actually feel about a situation, not about making your character seem as cool as possible. Like,
Yeah.
don't focus too much on the voice. Don't focus too much on, like, don't play the character for everybody else. Play the character as they are. Worry about actually playing the character, not making something cool that everybody can laugh at. Because if you come from that place, if you come from, I'm going to make a character that everybody's cool, like I'm the coolest character, you're not going to come across cool. You're going to come across like a jackwagon.
Yeah.
Jackwagon.
It's a
I
good,
love that
it's
word.
a good word.
It's
I don't know
really
if
nice.
you made that one up, but
No, I
if
never
you
know
did,
anymore, but I don't think I made that one up.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of improv, how they teach you not to step on people, not to try and
Yes.
push your agenda in a scene. You know, like how to not say no to things that other people are trying to do. You know,
Yes.
you want to have like a good foundation of manners when it comes to playing, role playing, and making sure everyone at the table is having a good time. But
Right.
the way to do that is just, you set up those barriers, and then you're free to do what's needed to be authentic with the character. And I think, that's a way that you can surprise yourself as you're playing as well. If you like say, okay, now my character has this set of rules, these certain traits, and I want to try and stay true to these certain traits when making decision making like that. So certainly, I agree with Andie on that. Like being a like with that caveat of make sure that you have your etiquette in place.
Yeah,
to not try and take over the scene and be the MVP or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
Gary has Oh, go ahead, Andie.
No, I was going to agree with something else Jeff said right in the middle. He said, the other elements, he was bringing up like the other elements, the other parts of that character. Worry about that. I think that's actually a really good point. The more you plug in, the more you learn, the more you think about your character, the safer you're going to be. The more you think about making a show, the more dangerous you're going to be. I agree with Jeff on that. Work on your character.
Someone says our caricature is always bad. This is Gary Dose asking this. And no, they're great in doses, right? Think about it. Like if the DM comes up with a caricature, even if they, they can't all be zingers if they're caricatures. They're supposed to be extreme versions of something. So, if that character is going to come and go, that's real safe. But for players to play caricatures, you have to be like really imaginative and skilled to keep a caricature going, because often a caricature comes from a lack of depth in the character. Like it's as if a person who's doing a caricature is only looking at the surface attributes of the character, and if that is the case, they'll become a one-trick pony. If there's no depth to the character to reach down, find range, find some kind of dynamic fulcrum of some kind to keep them interesting, then those caricatures are going to get stale, and people are not.
You have to have a character under the caricature.
Yeah,
there has to be a base.
I think that a caricature can sometimes be a good place to start. I think that like Andie was talking about her character with the Scottish accent, Medbot.
Oh yeah, Healbot.
Healbot. How eventually first of all, yes, I think that I agree that there are times where caricatures are okay. And again, like Andie was saying, reading the room, that's definitely, if you're with a group that is totally cool with you just playing a one-trick pony and it's okay, then that's fine. Run with it. I think that, chances are eventually at session 42, maybe you'll get to Tubular Town and you'll be like, you know what? There's a lot of caricatures here. I think that I'm going to look for some more subtlety. And you might dig deeper into that character and you might find that Hefunor actually, he puts on this front as a ladies' man wizard, casting spells on all them gals. He's
I
got
just got
more
that when you
depth.
said it out loud.
You know what I mean? So when you're ready to explore a character, you can do that from a caricature standpoint. And I think maybe a good example of that is not specifically because I know that Harlan had this in mind, but Red on the Dice Jam campaign, he on the surface he looks like a caricature. On the very surface, same with all of our characters, really. So this is on Dice Shame. This is Harlan's character, the Tabaxi Ranger. He's very outgoing, Carrie Elwes. Oh yes, Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves on the surface, but it's
you mean
or not Prince of
Men in
Thieves,
Tights.
Men in Tights. Thank you. Yeah, very caricature on the surface, but lots of depth the more you listen, and Harlan has these big plans, which creates that dynamic range that
but see what once a person become if a caricature has depth, then it's kind of hard to call them a caricature. I think
it's
the word caricature has that sort of negative connotation in this
Mhm.
context, where we know that all the outer attributes are exaggerated, right? But a person, like a real life person, can have crazy exaggerated features as well, right? So I think that the word caricature implies a lack of depth.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's my issue. When you brought up the session 42 thing. If you make it to session 42 with a caricature, you have a character at that point.
Right,
You've given that character depth, you've given them breadth. When you're talking about a caricature, they don't have anything underneath it. It is perfectly fine for a character to behave as a caricature at times, because that's part of who they are. That's fine. It's when you have only the surface, like Jeff said, that's when it's a problem. So as long as there's depth underneath it, you don't have a caricature anymore. So, and I think that accomplishes what you're going for.
Yeah.
Hef Huner is probably not a caricature. He's just a very animated character. It's a very exaggerated character that was
I
built
agree with
off
you.
of
Yeah.
one.
Hef Huner. Are you doing the voice for that, Gary Dose? Are you doing a Hef Huner voice? That's I think we're getting down to our last 10 minutes, and I would just like to open it up to questions. And maybe I should have done this sooner. We might go a little bit over the hour if people want to stay. Chris mentioned above that we're going to be getting into the next block of RPGs, so just be mindful, pay attention to the clock, and enjoy your games. But yeah, in the meantime, fill up the chat. Do you have any questions for Jeff, Andie, or myself about voice acting and creating characters for RPGs? What are your thoughts? What are your questions? Do you have a character right now, Andie? Is the Healbot current?
Sorry, I was waiting to see who would talk first. Yeah, she's that campaign is currently in stasis while we're playing in another campaign right now. So she is waiting to go see a storm giant off on an island. But right now we're playing in a Fate game.
Gotcha.
It's first game in Fate. And in that one I'm playing Mickey, who's a college student witch.
All right. We got some questions populating here. I'm terrible with voices. How do you approach having an interesting voice without it being terrible or offensive?
That's great. We're going to read all of the questions with voices like that. Okay. Go ahead, Jeff. Go ahead and answer that.
So I guess if you don't
I
don't know, man. Can you hear yourself? That's the only way to really gauge it. Watch everybody else's reaction. Listen to it yourself.
Hey, you know what?
If it hurts to do it, that's probably a sign not to.
Yeah. I mean, maybe we could get into a deep political conversation about, the ethics of, I mean...
the ethics of voicing people of color and actions not your own. Yeah, that's all.
Yes.
ethical debate, and it's currently in flux right now in the world of voice acting. So
Yeah.
it's a thing right now. Like, I try to avoid doing stereotypically insulting accents. I was told a long time ago that caricature thing is not mine. That's from Joel Frumkin, who's a fabulous dialect coach, and he's the one who told me that. He said, if you want to not insult people with dialects and accents, make characters, not caricatures, and you should be safe. Because some people are always going to want to be offended about something, but you will be safe from the majority of people if you are trying to authentically portray a character and not make a joke out of their voice.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. Yeah, dude, it's all about it's all about intent, and I think talented actors, you can tell when if they're representing somebody who's outside their own race, which almost like, especially with our profession,
Voice actors,
especially if we're the only ones on the damn book, like, what else are we supposed to do? We want to make this character sound real, and sometimes you read a book where a character, you visualize a character as like an actor you've seen on TV. You're like, oh man, that actor would be great at playing this character. And so you kind of like try and imitate them. And it's nothing to do with how you feel about the race or anything like that. You just admire that actor and want to use their portrayal to portray this character, So like, if you're doing that, that intent comes through, I think. At least if you're good, right? And sometimes you're going to suck at it, and sometimes it's not going to come out right. But man, just do what you can to make a good experience. And I think that's really all you can do.
Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, and it also will, depend on the table that you're at. Again, I think there's different levels of risk involved with who you're around, who, like,
read the room heavy on that.
yeah.
Love of God, don't.
But thank you, Mike. Thank you, Mike, very much for your question. Jay wants to know if you had fun making ELLC. How much fun? Scale of 1 to 10?
That would be a 9.87.
9.87.
4.
Well, because there were a lot of fun voices on that, right?
There are a spectacular wide range of different fun voices to do in that series. I have almost as much fun, maybe more fun, I don't know, doing the sound effects and like making production out of it, because the world is so rich, the scenes are so rich, and everything is just so ridiculous.
For those of you who don't know, ELLC is a lit RPG series called Everybody Loves Large Chests. It's I've never listened to it, but I am kind of in love with one of the characters already, named Boxy, who's a mimic.
He's cute.
Yeah. Chris Lawrence asks, are there tricks to do if accents are harder to remember? Or are there tricks by taking an accent and changing it slightly to get a new character? Andie, do you want to field that?
If accents are harder to remember, have key phrases with a lot of the substitutions in it. So like, if you need Irish, pick an Irish phrase that you can say, like, as stupid as it is, top of the morning to you, that kind of phrase. It gets the substitutions going in your brain. Come up with a long sentence for your character in the correct accent and just keep repeating that, and it can help. It's not perfect, but it'll help in those situations. And as far as taking an accent and changing it slightly, make it your own. Like, there's ways you can merge British and Irish substitutions so that they sound, more or less posh. You can add British to an Indian accent, and then you get, British occupied India, and that's a great accent. You can add things together to make them work. Just be consistent. That's the hardest part. And then practice. Just do it. Just practice it. Talk in the bathroom, talk in the car, whatever.
Yeah, read the signs. Let's read signs on the highway. Literally, you're driving down and you're reading like turn left here. I don't know what accent that was, but
no, it's fair. And I'm taking that Not That Martin one. Yes, it's much harder to voice IRL stuff for me. Like, if I have to come up with 7 people that are all between the ages of 18 and 20, or 18 and 25, and they all are like normal human males and females, that's hard. like when you come up with just normal voices, those are
Right.
harder for me than fantasy stuff.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
absolutely, 100%.
Yeah.
Fantasy. That's the thing. Fantasy. There's like way less rules,
Yeah.
so you can go really out there with your characters, and that's I mean, yeah, that makes them so much easier to distinguish from one another, and it's so much easier to chew the room, and like go overboard and have a bunch of fun with fantasy acting than it is to do like real life characters in a real life setting, you know. Way more nuance in reality type dramas, because reality type dramas are more about the emotions,
Right.
are more about the characters' reactions. They don't rely on spectacle as much as fantasy does. You know, everything just gets very granular with the
Right.
real life dramas. So performing that is way more challenging than, oh my god, it's a dragon. You know, like it's
Yeah,
I don't
really.
know, it's like, I
Yeah,
don't know,
being
jazz
colorful
versus
with
rock,
it.
you know, it's like,
Exactly. Bob Lyle would like to know if one of you guys can do a Norwegian accent. He admittedly butchered his today, unfortunately. Sorry to hear that, Bob. I'm sure it wasn't that
oh,
bad.
man. I don't
My
even know.
Norwegian accent is not great, but it is not the worst thing in the world.
Okay,
It's-
okay.
You know,
The
I haven't-
R's
I
are a
haven't
little
really
bit
looked at it.
cold and dentalized D's, but it's not
D's.
fabulous.
It's
Can
pretty
one
good.
of you
It's pretty
do
good.
a Norwegian
haven't-
accent?
I've never really tried it. I've never tried it.
I just think of Skyrim. It's just
Right. Yeah, that's everyone's tendency, right?
Yeah.
whether or not that's
Yeah,
legit.
it's fine. It's okay. It works. But it only works in
okay.
fantasy, right?
Scanning down here.
Oh, if you need
Will.
the Norseman on Netflix.
Oh,
Fat
right.
Fed Omega, watch the
Ah.
Norseman on Netflix. It's got a bunch of great Norwegian accents in it.
Beautiful. Okay, and why don't we do? We'll get one last round of questions in. Are there tips on creating characters from a neutral accent? So I guess your regular speaking point, change pitch. I know, right? Is that a thing that people say?
Speaking. Yeah,
Speaking
it's- now it is.
voice.
It is now.
Speaking
When I'm
from
Thomas
my
James
best
says it is.
speaking point.
It is. Tips on creating characters from neutral accent, change pitch, slow speech. Is that a good idea? Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, starting with your regular voice, especially like there's an entire range of, how far into an accent do you want to go? How far into, volume and dynamics and rhythm do you want to go? You can make a voice 100% of one of these traits or 0% and just stick to your regular speaking voice. My God, I swear I talk for a living.
I'm glad we
Speeching voice.
speak about this.
Please continue my thought.
Yeah. I mean, all of those things. The more axes that you can find on which to change variables of how your voice changes for characters, the more range you're gonna have. So absolutely, if all you do is just keep the accent as one axis, and then you look at all your other options. But I think dynamics and rhythm are sorely underutilized in audiobook characterizations. Forget the different types of voices you can do. That's where you get a lot more of a character's authentic self, is the pace at which they're talking, which sentences they're just speeding through, and which sentences they're emphasizing and slowly trying to impart upon the listener,
Right.
like that shows a lot of value. And again, dynamics, like how loud are they, how exuberant are they while they're talking about this subject or that subject, how professional are they, all those things show up in rhythm and dynamics. So
Listening.
Typical axes. Chris asked what typical axes are. So pitch, cadence, tone, timbre. How do you have more? dynamic posture, rhythm.
Posture.
Yeah, rhythm, posture. Yep.
Posture is another one that's like the root of your character is how they
Right.
hold themselves.
Yep.
Like that is, most people don't know this about themselves, but that's like so indicative of your philosophy as a person, like how you hold yourself, and voices are the same way.
And you can even get into the like actual placement of the sound, you know, in your mouth, you know, having a little bit higher, more nasal, or
The
a little
source
bit
of-
deeper, you know.
Yeah, what surface are you relying on to
Resonating
make
on.
to make the noise, you know?
You thought I was lying about being sick, Goliath? That's messed up. No, I'm not.
No, Andy's not sick, not at all. All right. Well, I want to say thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Andie. Thank you, Justin. You're welcome, Justin, for coming and speaking. And thank you all for coming and hanging out. This is fantastic. So many different people. If you're wondering where you are, everybody from the Invictus stream, you know where you are. But people who don't, this is the Invictus stream. We do live stream role playing and video games on Wednesdays. Jeff, Andie, do you have any final words of, you know, just one last tip so that someone listening can take this tip? I need another word. Take this.
You want us to
this
take
idea.
your tip, Justin?
Just give us the tip
Just the tip.
to go to their next session with, you know, another way to add a little bit more dynamism to their characters. Great tips.
Well, now the chat's gone. Great.
There goes.
I'll go first so Jeff can close us out. Just remember to have fun and commit to your character. And just that's it. Just have fun and commit to your character and come up with something interesting about their personality or their physicality and try to portray that. Like, try to pick something out that's interesting about them and try to portray that, whether it's a lisp or they sit up really straight or they talk with their hands or something like that. Add one thing to your character and see how big of a difference it makes.
Great. Thank you. And Jeff?
And I will say, don't work too hard. You're playing a game. You're trying to have fun. Try and be natural. That's about it. From me.
Awesome.
Thank you for having us, Justin.
Oh, this was great. It's so fun to just chill, you know? And then also
Cheers.
chill with all these people that are listening and
What are y'all drinking?
asking questions. And also, Chris has invited us to plug. Andie, Jeff, is there anything you'd like to plug while we have a room full of people?
Yeah. Anybody who, I mean, I feel like I've seen most of these people here, but if you guys are unfamiliar with us, please come to the SoundBooth Theater live Discord server and hang out with us some more. We like to narrate live in our server, and we tell people when our audiobooks are out, and we are developing our own independent platform through which we will be distributing our audiobooks very soon, so keep an eye out for that as well.
I dropped a link to my Discord in my channel. I'm there pretty much every day. Right now I'm sick as a dog, but I'm there streaming whatever I'm recording pretty much every day except Sundays. So feel free to drop by if you like. That's it.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys once again. Chris, you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here. So would you like to close out on anything, Justin?
I would just like to say that there's this great town just east of Red Larch, and it's called Tubular, man. And you
Tubular
really should
Dale?
check it out.
Mhm.
What?
Tubular Dale.
Oh, I'm talking about Tubular Dale.
Tubular
All
Dale
day.
is
Yeah,
my
righteous.
favorite place
Righteous. Yeah.
to buy horseshoes.
Horse shit. Horse
Dude.
shit?
Shoes.
Oh, shoes.
gross,
Right. Man, I thought you said
Totally
horse
not-
shit.
Hey, man, you
Rad
leave my
that you brought
repurposed
up
horseshoes alone, man. Those are eco-friendly. Fuck off, dude. Come on.
Oh, man. Those are slick. All right. Thank you guys very much. I don't know what accent I'm going into, but sometimes that happens as well. You just fall into another accent You start off with one, and then you end up in a bad Cockney. So here we are. That's how it goes.
That went transatlantic, bro. That was amazing. He crossed the island, the ocean.
That just went all over. See, this is why I'm the newbie. You heard me talking earlier. Speech things, talking, speech points, speaking things you say. Just a tip. There's a highlight reel. All right. Well, thank you. Thank you once again.
So just another just kind of note from us. We really appreciate you guys, Justin, Jeff, Andie. Thank you guys for coming out and doing this stuff and sharing with stuff that you guys love. And we got some pretty good points, and we appreciate y'all's time. And yeah, we're looking forward to seeing some more from you guys. And also too, so chat, go ahead and check them out and support their work and stuff. So, but yeah, we really appreciate you guys. Thank y'all so much.
Thank you, Chris.
Thanks for having us.
Bye, everyone.
All right, everybody, you're free to hang out wherever. So there's games, RPG games that are out right now. So there's also
Ooh, Arc. I'm going to be jumping onto Arc.
Ooh.
So if anybody wants to join that, then I'll show you around.
Yeah. There's also too a convention hall audio channel that you can join. You've got the INVICTUSCON general chat, so find some stuff to do. There's plenty to do, and we'll have an award show here in about a couple of hours. So anyway, we appreciate you guys, and y'all have a good rest of the convention. See y'all.